Alright. Well, today we are going to do some Everquest. I've finished Udian Chronicles Rising, and now taking a little break between games, I'm going to do some Everquest. I have restarted my Shaman on the live servers on Friona Vie, and I'm going to stick to with what I know, which is Warrior, which is going to be a little bit harder to level up, but I kind of want that. Something a little bit more challenging, a little bit more thinking, but also still fairly relaxed. And so we're gonna do this. I got my mercenary here. Picked up a couple quests we'll do, and slowly make our way through the game. But yeah, this will be a very chill day. Don't know how long I'm gonna go for, but we'll try and get a good amount done. Which I need sex from snakes, mushrooms, and diseased spiderlings. Okay. Ooh. All of my stuff is missing. Alright. I actually didn't see that. I'll have to fix that later. Right now, it's not an issue. I also probably don't need to be doing this, but it's gonna get me some skill ups, I think. Or not. Meh. You guys are the mushrooms. Yeah, gonna relax, listen to some tunes, and chat. Because, you know, chatting is good. Let them give me any mushrooms. I wonder if it's a specific one kill or if there's some around I need to pick up. Yeah, I decided to go with Warrior instead of Shaman just because I don't necessarily like playing a healer. Especially, I believe Shamans become kind of the main healers in the long run. Not really my thing. I'd much rather be a DPS or, you know, main tank I could probably do, so that's why I'm feeling Warrior. And, you know, Warrior's what I like. It always feels good to play. I don't really get tired of it ever. And from what I understand, this will also get a little bit more, oh, what's the word I want to look for here? More complex as we go on. Because before we only got to about Planes of Power content, which is where my buddy knew. He says everything afterwards is not great. But, crap. There we go. Alright, that shouldn't happen again. We've got the Planes of Power, and after seeing a couple, like, trailers for the new content, I got really interested to come back to this and check out the newer content. I think it would be pretty sweet. And that's why we are here now. My skills are going up now, that's good. Hand slashing, I got the axe from the starting quest. I know Warrior's gonna be pretty hard because I'm gonna have to plan around things of not running, so fighting a lot of undead, so I may have to use two-handed blunt. Well, slashing should work against zombies, but I think skeletons I want to have a two-handed blunt. I'll have to figure out where those areas are, because I don't know anything about this game. But that's going to be the fun of this. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do any of this offline, off-stream or not. Maybe it's 50-50. Probably some, because I'm just going to need to do a lot of grinding and stuff to get to areas. I don't know if everybody wants to see that. If you do, let me know. But really, it's just going to be a lot of me talking to myself and just relaxing. And right now I am just going absolutely ham on these sporlings. They're not giving me the mushrooms I need. Oh, whoops, I gotta talk to somebody to Jade. Whatever. I'll go back there once I get these. This should be easy to do. I know I've been told doing the missions are not really needed, but money is money and experience is experience. I need to really become more familiar with how Everquest runs things. Snakes are done. Spiders. I think there's a couple this way. It's just gonna take me to zone. Ah. Alright, now I need to make that button. That worked. It's like I know what I'm doing. These spiderlings, which I have no idea where those are. And just rarely found around here, I guess. Undead fisherman, huh? And then I do something stupid like that. 2 more spiderlings, and I just need to find out where these mushrooms are. Under there. Gee, I wonder if those are what I'm looking for. I have to kill them? Huh. That's really awkward. See anything beneath there. Ah, there's one. Evil living mushroom things. Let's smack them. The solution to everything. Smack a mushroom. Don't smack your own mushroom. That'll hurt. I probably say this a lot. It's always really amazing just to see how many people... Yeah, that guy's killing all of them. Got it. It's always amazing to see how many people are still playing this game, and it's kind of awesome. Go that way. There's a mushroom. Okay, that's all the mushrooms. Just need to get my hands on 2 more spiders if they ever spawn. And that guy doesn't just murder them. One more. Ha! I got it before you could snipe it. Go me. Let's go turn this in. Let's go to initiate Draken. Sneaks next. All those mushrooms, right? Sweet. Sure. All right. Yes, I just gave me a bunch of that. Let's sell. Apparently have way more crap on me than I originally thought. Some decent money. Silver, more silver there. Alright. Screw the missions. That really didn't do much for me other than give me a bunch of potions that I may or may not ever use. Alright. I think I need to go to the Bear Cave is the next area I should be working on. Be this way. Skill up that swimming. These are yellows. Alright, this will be interesting. I might have to go back to the mushrooms. Elbow strike, so useful, yet so useless. It can only ever do 5 points of damage. But, I mean, it gets the job done. Yeah, this should be fine. I am way overpowered for this, with the armor and everything. And the bears, I don't think they run yet. Not in this area. So we'll do these till they start turning blue, and then I think I move on to the undead. Start doing those guys. I do want to hopefully get some one-hand weapons and dual-wield one. That becomes an option. I forgot what level warriors get that. That might be 20. We'll find out. Yeah, let's talk about Union Chronicles. I love that game. That was a great game that I did. Real good story. Love the art and everything. Unfortunately, I didn't save that to YouTube. But that was because I started playing that off of stream, and then I just decided to start streaming it when I had nothing to do. And I've been doing voices for that. There should be a clip of that up of my favorite voice to do with that. But that was a lot of fun. The only The only thing that's bad I could say about that game is uh, after you beat it, it opens up the, like something of a new game plus, where it's a continuation of the story, but you basically play all the missions over again without having to unlock anything. Which I can kind of understand the reasoning for that, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more than just that. It would have been cool if they had more stuff built on afterwards where you can see the outcome for characters, but a lot of the quests were literally the same quest, just do it over again, and some of them were slightly different. And other than that, the only other problem I have with it is I'm not a huge fan of the side-scrolling platformer genre. Metroidvania gets away with it because there's a lot of nuance to it, but it wasn't very Metroidvania because it wasn't a sprawling mess of a map. A lot of the zones and everything were very straightforward, and the maps were fairly clean. And most anything you could get to, you could easily see, but it wasn't as bad as other games. Other than that, art style, music, design, beautiful. And they're coming up with an RPG that I'm pumped to play. Udian Chronicle, what was it, 100 Heroes. That game's going to be pretty sweet, because it's not a, from what it looks like, a side-scrolling action game, but more of a story-focused, turn-based RPG sort of setup. Similar to that of Suidoken, I think is how you pronounce that. And that's also going to be awesome, because apparently that's coming to Steam, and I want to play that. That will definitely get recorded and put up onto YouTube, and shown on Twitch. Suikoden 1 and 2. That's going to be fun. But the coming up game that I think... Yeah, the one that's been voted for by Jin, because he's the only one that voted. If you want me to play any games that you guys are interested in, please get onto my Discord and put a vote up. But we're going to be doing Geese? I believe that's what it was called. Let me double check that. Geese, the Oath of Felghana. Oath in Felghana, yeah. So that'll be a fun one when it happens. Supposedly it's more of a... I played it once a long time ago. Didn't get that far into it. But it is a Dark Souls-esque platformer difficult game. Luckily I won't have to voice anything for that because I think they just added voice lines to the entire game, so yay! My voice won't be destroyed. Except for when I'm raging and screaming at the game. We'll see how that goes. But so far I'm happy with what's going on now. The main reason why I wanted to start streaming in the first place is I love the older games. I don't know why people have such a disdain for turn-based combat, because it is very good if done right. Now, and you know, the story is what really carries the game, because I want to continue the game for the story. It's not going to be about the gameplay, even though the gameplay is still very fun and can be interactive depending on what the game has done with it. Something like Earthbound, the combat isn't stellar, but it is fun to do. And then you have games like Chrono Trigger, where the combat is actually very interesting. You have to take chances with where you're going to be aiming your attacks because things are spaced out differently. And you have to, you know, who you're bringing into combat with you allows you to do different combos in the fight. And that's awesome to me. Another game that does that really well is Gridania 2. I haven't played the first one, but I haven't played the second. And the second one is a 3D version similar to that of Chrono Trigger, where you have to plan out your attacks, and your characters actually, in Gridania 2, your characters automatically move around and do things. They have to run to an enemy and hit them. And then that changes their positioning. They can either avoid attacks by doing that, or fall in line with AoE attacks. It's really well made, and I really like that system. Another game that had a similar system that was awesome would be Star Ocean. One of the really old ones. I can't remember the name of which one it was, but I believe it was on the Sega Saturn, maybe? And it was like a top-down map of the combat area, and your characters would run around, and then you would initiate their attacks when their timer came up. And you could see them sprinting across the field, hitting people, and doing all kinds of cool things. And I love shit like that. But, you know, games that do combat wrong, in my opinion, would be, oh, what's a good one? Final Fantasy 13. Now, a linear game isn't a bad thing, even though that really is one of the main reasons why it turned me off, was just how linear it was, and the story I didn't care for. Under the preference that I prefer, in the Final Fantasy, I prefer the like high fantasy games over the realistic ones. So like 7 I would consider a high fantasy game, but 8 is more of a realistic one. And so far that pattern hasn't been wrong to me. But with 13, from what the combat system was, you really only controlled one character, and then you had this, what was it called, the paradigm system, where you would set up commands for your other two characters to do things under certain conditions. And that's, in a sense, a good thing for people that like to have that sort of gameplay where it's not so much in the instant tactical decision, but more of efficiency planning. And that's just removing the player from the game even further. And you really only controlled your main character. But I understand from the reasoning behind that is because with all of the stuff you would do for just one character, having 3 to do that with would be too much. At the same time, you look at Chrono Cross, where they have a very similar system, and you did that with all 3 characters. So, I mean, who the hell knows? I do want to get my hands on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that combat system looks like it could be good. Even though it's more of an action-based one, it still has some turn-based bits to it. And I'm interested to see how that would feel in my own hands. Another game I can have gripes about would be Fire Emblem. Now, I like the tactical combat. Shining Force is probably one of my favorite games. But I freaking hate the stupid fucking rock, paper, scissors. The game would have been great without that. But it would, I understand it would also change up how you would have to approach everything. You could overpower with one character and just have them steamroll things, but then you could have that balanced out by different other things. But like a rock, paper, scissors system with not only weapons, but then magic, and then unit types on top of it, it's too much. That's too much strategy and weirdness for a game that I would like to just be able to command my units and have reliability. Like, this is my strongest unit, I need to put him here to protect my weaker ones so they can try and get experience. Shining Force is one I also plan on doing at some point on the stream. That's going to be a fun one for me. I would love to do the voice of that. My favorite character in the game is Guns, the best boy. But I mean, those are two very similar games that run like almost exactly the same, but I love one and absolutely hate the other. with that, and I guess the permadeath in Fire Emblem is really kind of a turnoff as well. One of the last ones I played, there was you had 3 knights, something that would roll with you for the first mission or 2, and then you had to choose which one to kill off, and it seemed kind of cheap because it was supposed to be a meaningful decision, and I didn't have them very long to be, these are my favorite characters or anything like that, and they didn't really have much of a personality built up around them. But it was supposed to be, you know, this very emotional decision to pick who you need to, you know, put down. I'm not saying that's not something that can be done, but you need to have way more build up than 2 or 3 missions in the beginning of the game. Actually, it might have been like the first mission. I think you were escaping an army, leaving through some sort of place, and you had to leave one behind to make sure you got away. But maybe that was a continuation of a different game that I didn't play. I have no idea. And, you know, if you guys have any opinions about what I'm saying, please let me know. I would love to discuss it. Woo. Level 12, nice. How are we doing with our skills? Let's take a look at that. I play too many games, I don't know what button is what. Let's see, 2-hand slashing. Nice, that's going up well. Fence, that's good. Dodge is good. And a hand. What are other games I can talk about? Let's talk about MMOs, I guess. Probably my first MMO was Ultima Online. That was fun for a bit, even though I didn't know what the hell I was doing most of the time, and managed to somehow be a blacksmith on one area for a little bit, until I got scammed to go out into an open PvP area, murdered, and then everything stolen from me. That basically turned me off of the game, and I stopped playing. That one I wouldn't really call an MMO, as more of just kind of a social game that it was, from what I remember playing of it. Because I almost never saw any sort of enemy in the game. It was mostly just people doing things, and I basically hung around, tried to find rabbits to kill. Wasn't great. But then, after basically giving that up for a while, Lope invited me over to his house one day and let me play Final Fantasy XI for like 8 hours straight. And that's what hooked me onto that, and I eventually got my hands onto it and started playing it, got my brother into it. Then we switched over to WoW. That was good fun for a while. I did a lot of stuff in WoW, but it took me forever to get to a max level character. Thinking on it now, I'm surprised it took so long, but maybe it was just how the game was back then. It's hard to say now, because they've changed WoW completely now. Being max level from the start of the game to when Burning Crusade out is when I got to max level. Like, I got up to max level the week before Burning Crusade came out, and my guild I was with took me in to run Molten Core for the first time. That was fun. Until I got launched off the side of the arena and had to spend the entire fight running back to my corpse. Good times. Good times indeed. From WoW, I think eventually I left WoW for Everquest 2. I don't remember why I left WoW in the beginning, but I think it was because I remember I didn't fully like Burning Crusade that much. The changes and everything they made to the combat and to the world were neat, but I didn't like the direction it was going. Yeah, there was something about Burning Crusade that just really didn't sit with me, so I stepped away from WoW and I played Everquest 2 for a bit. That was a lot of fun. Once again, didn't get too far in that because, you know, going to school and everything, it was hard to find time to play a game really seriously and get through it. But my favorite thing about EverQuest 2 was the crafting system. And still is probably one of my favorite crafting systems in a game. The only other one that came close to that I really enjoyed would have to be an old game that I think is no longer around called Vanguard. Vanguard had a really cool crafting system as well. Jin and I played that a lot. But we ultimately ended up having to quit that game when we were trying to sit and craft in one of the main cities, and somebody would constantly come in and just decimate us and get away before any of the guards could hit them. But Vanguard was an amazing idea. I loved everything that they pitched in it, you know. The card system for negotiating and diplomacy, that was really cool. The combat wasn't bad. It had a lot of potential in it. I don't remember too much about it, but it had a lot of potential. I know that. It was like one of the first games that would have gathering nodes actually react to you harvesting them. Like, if you cut down a tree, the tree would fall over and you'd have to wait for it to respawn. Or like, when you crack open a rock, it would fall apart and progressively get worse as you're mining it. And its world was similar to that of EverQuest. Looking back on it now, I think there was like dog or cat people that were on the moon. And all the other races were very similar. But the character creation was really in-depth. The class system... I don't remember anything about the class system, but I think it was pretty funky. And the open world was a very ambitious thing at the time. A seamless open world. I remember we discovered like this big, massive cave that we went through and explored a ton of shit. I never really saw anybody, and we were really pumped to get into the sailing portion of it because we both wanted to get ships and, you know, basically live on our ship. So the ships were awesome, and there was going to be flying throughout the world. Vanguard was a very great, ambitious game that unfortunately did not last long because I think the overlap of PvP kind of killed it because people would be people, and people are awful. Let's see, eventually moved away from Vanguard. At some point, we did Aeon, which that one also pretty decent potential. The combat system was really fast-paced, but kind of awkward in some ways. Decently fun PvP, I will say that. Now, I'm not normally one for PvP, but there are certain games that I do enjoy PvP, and Aeon is one of them. The other being... what was it? Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning. That was a great game, and probably the first game that I actually say that PvP was probably the most balanced in any game I've ever played. Each class has its very defined purpose in the battle. Tanks actually were tanks. They didn't have the same time to kill as everybody in the other class and didn't feel as squishy as a rogue inside of combat. Whereas, you know, you'd have a rogue in there, they couldn't go toe-to-toe with a tank, so they would try to get to the back line and deal with the squishies. So it was this constant, like, ebb and flow of the combat of protecting the squishies, holding the front line, and capturing a point. And everybody had to kind of do their part, and it was probably the first game that I've ever noticed that they actually gave points and kudos to people healing in them. Back in WoW, if you played a healer, you were in PvP, you weren't healing people. You were just killing. You were a Shadow Priest making people walk off ledges and laughing at them as they drowned, locked under like the tiny bit of water in the map. I thought that was a great change, especially since the healing classes were really good at healing and could dish out some damage, and sometimes they could even be really devastating. I like the Chaos Zealot, I think it was, could put sigils on people that would heal them, or like players can make them explode, do tons of damage. You could throw out little time bombs on people that would either heal or explode. And in Warhammer Online is where I have probably one of my favorite PvP stories of I had made a chosen warrior, which is basically a giant guy in plate armor, and you know they had either a sword or sword and board or two-hander. And back then everybody was kind of rolling with two-handers to kind of get the most damage out because it was a PvP game. You had to dish out the damage. You weren't supposed to be a tank or anything like that. But I was one of the few people that actually rolled in with a shield and sword, and I was a force to be reckoned with. I ended up dyeing all of my armor gold, and there was a certain map where everybody would have to come up to a point and grab a ball and hold on to it for as long as they can. Whoever had the ball would slowly burn to death and become weaker, and whoever held it the longest won. So in the initial clash, everybody runs up and like stands right in front of the like skirmish line in front of the ball, seeing who will make the first move. And I remember getting up there, waiting for a second for my team to form up behind me, and then I was like just started walking up solo. Nobody followed me. Jin was there at the time with me doing this, and he watched me walk forward and just slam into their enemy lines and push them back, because I became known at that point of just being a terrible thing to deal with, because I wouldn't die, and Chosen have a wonderful thing where they have 3 auras at one time. And some of the auras were constant damage, reduce resistances while also giving themselves high resistances, and reduce damage to enemy players. So I made their entire front line weaker, because nobody liked playing a Chosen unless they were, you know, damage beasts. But making an entire 12-man team back up from just being one dude with a shield, oh, that felt great. Nothing like being feared. They have come back with that game, Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning. It's not bad. It's still kind of fun to play every now and again. But my main problem with it is people have been playing it for a long time and they're twinks like crazy. And for those of you that don't know, a twink character is one that has been specifically held at low level and given everything to succeed. They have managed to upset the balance of PvP super hard by basically making rogue characters deal more damage than they should and being absolutely unkillable with potions and various other trinkets that they have. One of the last times I played, I tried doing a Chosen again, and I got into a fight with a rogue, figured I could beat him, but he had max gear, slotted out with all different kinds of things. I never touched his health, and he killed me in seconds, and proceeded to annihilate the rest of the team. Nice. 13. Can I take on Blood Maw? No, I cannot take on Blood Maw. We are not going to try Blood Maw. Oh, I have dual wield now. Excellent. Wondering when I would get that. Let's see. Another good game was Arc Age. Well, good idea. In practice, man. that is where I discovered my problem with some games. Because it was hyper-focused on crafting, I would focus on that pretty hard. To the point where I think I managed to... Okay, so with Arcade, the original version of it, you had a meter of crafting points that you could use in a day that would regen over time that you were playing. Now, if you were a free player, it would only regen while you were on the game. If you were subbed, it would regen all the time, whether you were on or off. I believe it was faster if you were online. But also, that was never enough to keep you engaged. You actually had to subsidize that with buying these point potions to slam back to get more crafting ability. Dumbass young me, I think I managed to spend about $200 in a month just buying those potions to keep my crafting up, to keep going. That was a dumb idea, and I eventually had to stop playing the game because of that, because I wanted to keep crafting. I had fun with it. And it was a good game for what it was. The unfortunate side of, greed. The absolute freedom of the class builder was a really big turn on. Having the ability to pick out and build a class to be as diverse and weird as I wanted. If they had extended that a little bit further to where I could go full on Guild Wars with it, I would be pretty happy. No, okay, no, maybe not full on Guild Wars. If I had the ability to change out each... So, okay, let me explain this. I'm rambling like crazy. In Arcade, you were able to pick 3 different classes to build your class. You could have, like, a bard profession, a mage profession, a warrior profession, and all be one weird class amalgamation. Or you could, have 3 different mages or bard and rogues or whatever. And they all had these really interesting, unique modifiers that would bring something to your class, and you always had combos to do. And you could switch out all your different abilities and things like that. If you could switch out those classes after you pick them, I think that would be awesome. I want to be a mage today, so I'm going to have all 3 mages and build my class around that for fun. And then, I can change that later if I wanted to. Unfortunately, they didn't have that, but you could switch out different skills that you would unlock in the class tree. Guild Wars 1 is similar to a way where you would have your class and you would gain abilities through that, have them mix with different weapons or other abilities however you wanted. And I like the idea of, a billion abilities but a limited pool you get to pull from any time. Guild Wars 2, now that we're doing that, I'm remembering why I've had some myths about Guild Wars 2. I'm still going to play it. That's not going to change. I love playing with my friends, and it's really... Guild Wars 2, 1 and 2, actually, are probably the best to be played with friends. Just to have that sort of interaction while dealing with a not perfect system. And what I mean by that is, with 1, you have your different skills for your class that you can theory craft and talk to your friends, and that would be fun. It's fun sitting there theory crafting, talking to them, and getting input on what works, what doesn't work, and how to interact with them in combat. If you're just doing that with NPCs and screwing around, you're not going to find something that's going to be fun. You're just going to find something that's going to be somewhat efficient, and then maybe get rid of it because you don't really have anything to go off of. In Guild Wars 2, you're locked in with whatever weapon you have and what you've basically skilled into. So you don't have any ability changes other than your, what do they call it? Like the back 5 skills. And those can only vary so much, and they don't bring a lot of game-changing actions with them. Most of the game-changing actions you're going to have is locked in with your class and weapon, depending on what you pick. Which is a little unfortunate. I would love to have kind of a mesh of the two. if I pick a weapon, I want to have like 40 different abilities for that weapon I can pick and pull. Hell, even just the ability to switch around the buttons on the weapons would be acceptable right now. I really hate some of my like escape buttons are like number 2. I want that to be way away from where I want my attack buttons, because I don't want to go in for a strike and accidentally fat finger my escape. But maybe... I've heard some tellings that maybe Guild Wars might be working on something. I think they regret doing the way they did combat in this one and want to kind of backpedal a little bit. So maybe in future expansions it'll add something. That would be cool. What other games did I play? Man, I gotta think of stuff. I've been rambling for a fucking hour. Jesus. I am sorry. Let me take a drink there. Recently I have been turned on to a game, well not recently, I've kind of started streaming because of the game in a way. Just because I enjoyed seeing highlights of my friends' clips of kills in it. Hunt Showdown. I do have some clips on my Twitch and some clips, my favorite ones on YouTube. And, you know, that was just so I can share it with my friends and, you know, check out cool kills that we do. That was a lot of fun, which is surprising because I'm not a big PvP fan. I could get real pissy about PvP, and I don't like when people are unfair. But with Hunt Showdown, it's very even. Probably the most even PvP in a shooter I've played, because it doesn't matter what gun you have. It doesn't matter how fast you can flip around and shoot a guy in the head with a sniper rifle, or how fast you can dolphin out of a location, shoot everybody, and like spin, whatever the hell. It's just whoever is malicious and planning. Because a lot of it is just sneaking around, keeping an ear out for people, hearing where they're going and everything like that, and then just waiting for them to drop their guard and take them out, and then you get to go take what they're looting. That's fun. And that brings me to a very wise bit of information my father told me. Old age and treachery will always beat youth and enthusiasm. And 100% follow that with my heart. Now, I may not be able to beat anybody that can snipe me from across the goddamn map and, you know, outclick me in seconds because I'm mainlining Ritalin as a 14-year-old. But goddamn, what I do to you, you will remember, and you will be angry. Me and Lope, we can get into some really bad shenanigans with shooters like that. He's actually really deep into Destiny 2 and tells us about the horrible things he does to people. And oh man, he makes people mad. I've never seen it before like that, and he's developed it into an art. He's not gonna win the fight, but he's gonna make you remember every second of it and hate it. Yeah, shooters are fun. PUBG was an interesting experiment. It was fun, but I definitely feel that needed a lot of work to it. Hunt Showdown is good because it's a lot slower, it's more densely packed instead of like... One thing I've seen people do in PUBG is kind of fucked with their system to where the rendering is down, so you could be hiding in grass, they'll see you clear as day and pop a headshot at you across the map. Hunt Showdown, it's not as easy to do that because they've gone through each location and like every point in the map, they've looked down sight lines to see, like, oh, can they easily see this from here? Well, let's not have that. Let's go ahead and remove it by putting a fucking tree or something in the way, and it's annoying. But I love that kind of attention to detail to it. Each location is handcrafted to be this really interesting experience that forces people together, and the constant hunting around to find things instead of just like an arbitrary closing circle. You're investigating, you're moving around players, it's giving you the freedom to just ignore certain areas of the map completely because you don't want to go deal with the firefight that's happening down there. So if you're old, you're slow, and you like shooters, play some Hunt Showdown. You can be very old and slow and just annihilate people. It is beautiful. Let's see, what are the games that are good we can talk about for a bit? Controversial statement, Pokemon Red and Blue, best Pokemon, don't change my mind. Anything afterwards is just kind of annoying. Especially some of the Pokemon they come up with where, like, what was it, just a set of keys? Literally just a set of keys. Come on. OG Pokemon were great. Sure, some of the newer ones look cool and all that, but they're just weird, and some of them are just edgy for the sake of being edgy, it seems. Oh, some of them are just horrifying, like the balloon that just randomly steals children and eats their soul. But I guess that really doesn't narrow it down. There's a lot of Pokemon that do that, I guess. A lot of my favorites are from the original. That's also the one I closely came to completing the Pokedex on. It's hard for me to pick out one from the original that I just didn't like. Oh wait, no, Jinx. I don't like Jinx. It's too creepy. Other than that, all of them are pretty good and I like the look of them. Afterwards, not so much. Even this newest one that came out was Scarlet and Sapphire? Or Scarlet and Violet or something like that. You know, just looking at them, some of them aren't really that good looking. And they're adding to the system, which is just making it weirder. And trying to balance it that way, like the addition of the fairy typing and steel. There's a couple other ones they added recently too that are just odd. And then making Pokemon that breaks their system in a way, and because they break the system, they start becoming meta, and then it starts getting weird. But I also like some of the weird stuff. Good friend of mine, he has created an army of Bidoofs that can do everything and cover every element. And he just destroys people with Bidoofs. Just a giant insult to you. Let's see. Good Pokemon, Cubone, Marowak, Sandslash, Sandshrew, Rhydon, Onyx. Onyx was fucking awesome. I think he was done dirty. Steelix is such a dumb look, I think, and he's so weak. Everything about Onyx is so weak. It's sad. I wish he was stronger. It's a massive fucking rock snake. He should be a lot stronger than he is. He's not even like a tank. Other Pokemon are way more of a tank than he is. OG starter, Charmander. Always gotta pick Charmander. Guy's so fucking cute. Secondary. Ooh. Nice, 14. Good secondary starter is gonna be Squirtle, and then Bulbasaur was my third pick. Nothing wrong with Bulbasaur, I had just Charmander and Squirtle I think were just better designs. Whereas, no, Venusaur is a lot cooler than Blastoise. Spearow was a good one, I liked Spearow a lot. Yeah, I had a lot of fire and ground types in my party. Geodude was pretty good, but I didn't have any friends that had the games or link cable, so I never got Golem. I basically got to Graveler and just threw him into my box because I wasn't gonna get Golem, and it was just kind of infuriating, so I kind of put him away. Abra had a good design. Kind of shame that he didn't have anything other than teleport until you got him leveled up. Fucking Mew. Never got Mew. I did believe in that theory that you would have to do that weird command to get to the truck and move it. What was it? You had to go to the ship, surf off the side, and continue off the screen, and then you would be able to head down, and then that would take you to the land with the truck. You could look into the truck, and then you could use strength to push the truck and then get into a fight with Mew, and then you would fight it and capture it with a Master Ball. Turns out, I only found this out recently, that is a complete lie. Apparently there is, or was a Japanese event where you could get a Mew. I don't remember how you would do it, but it was an event in Japan. And that was the only way to get Mew in the game. I always felt Pikachu was overrated, not really a good Pokemon. I just didn't like it in the TV series. What is your favorite Pokemon? Let me know in the comments. Or in chat if you're watching. I think my counter broke. It says I've only been streaming for 14 seconds. Yeah, I think my OBS broke. Well, we'll see if this works at the end of the recording. Let's see here. So on my current list of games that I'm looking to get into, I have Chrono Trigger, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IX. I have My Time at Portia, but I'm going to continue my save. I'm not going to start over because that game is fucking long. Dear God. I have my hands on Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4 I can do. Shining Force 1 and 2. I can do Summoner. It's an old school RPG that was on PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2? An old ass game. Tales of Berseria, Tales of Zenestra, then Ys, the Oath in Filgana. Those are RPGs that I want to play on stream for you guys. I also have some MMOs I could play as well. You know, Everquest, Everquest 2, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, if you guys want to see that. I'm kind of... I wouldn't say I'm burnt out on Final Fantasy 14, but I'm out of things to do because I don't have a raiding group. And I would like to do raids. But, you know, gotta find them. We're doing Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 11 for you guys. Also have Elder Scrolls Online, but that's one I may take off the list because it's just not fun. I play it and I'm like, I would rather play Skyrim right now. Skyrim has a better combat system and, you know, I can mod it to hell. Yeah, the Elder Scrolls series, you'd think I would like them, but I kind of don't. As much as I really want to like them, like I had fun screwing around on Morrowind, but I never got anywhere in it. But I was also a stupid kid back then, didn't read any quests or anything like that. I just kind of ran around killing things that I found. Didn't have any patience for anything. When Oblivion came out, that helped out a lot with me kind of mainlining it a bit more. I got further in that. I don't think I ever beat it, but I did get near the end. Don't fully remember. Oblivion wasn't... I mean, it was good. It had a lot of personality to it. It was fun. Skyrim. I really like Skyrim. It felt better to do the quest lines and it was a little bit simpler, but it was also guided me everywhere, which I think was a blessing and a curse in a way. Just because, you know, you would pick up a quest that would show you where to go and you just kind of beelined for wherever you were going. Grab the item, didn't really pay attention to anything that was going on at where you were at. Which, you know, having the ability to know where the hell you're going in that game is kind of a blessing because it's just massive. But because of the hand-holding, you're not going through the dungeon and checking out all the weird things that are going on. You're kind of blinded by it because you're just following the map marker. You know, so it's got some blinders on it. Some iterations to the questing system would be good. Maybe, instead of giving you a map marker, like it would just like, oh, on your map, the dungeon appears on your map now, and you know where that's at. It doesn't tell you where the item is, but it's in there. And if you already went to that dungeon and picked it up or something like that, maybe it'll highlight where it is, and you have to go find it there. Instead of just going to the dungeon, follow the cursor. You actually have to like look around, be aware of your surroundings, check out everything. Loot everybody. Yeah, a lot of that game was just going from point A to point B, doing tasks, which made it more digestible as a game, but it took away from the story so much when you could have more if you did a little less hand-holding. But in Skyrim, I would basically join the Empire, buy a house in the capital, and move my family there before continuing with the main story. Because I didn't want my family to get murdered inside of Whiterun when, like, all that went down. I think the character I married the most in that game, because I did multiple playthroughs where I would just be like, oh, I'm gonna do a fucking mage and have fun being a mage, and ended up being a fucking stealth archer. Or, you know, I'm gonna be a heavy armored tank dude and be, you know, frontline bastard that's gonna be a lightweight stealth archer. because it's fun to play the stealth archer. I remember one time I managed to get, like, stealth really far away. I fired 2 rapid-fire arrows down at someone. And just didn't kill him the first shot, killed him with the second shot, and I went to look at their body. I had managed to get both arrows, like, in each nostril. That was fun. And, like, one time I had a freaking dragon carcass land inside of the, carriage that takes you from town to town, and I was like sitting in it. That didn't go away for a while. The game had some great charm to it, but the questing system I think killed the entire experience, because eventually the high of doing the quest started to become a problem, because then you were starting to look around the world a bit more because the quests were getting longer and harder to complete. And so then you're looking at this world that you've been traveling around in. You think you know everything, and you know absolutely nothing about what's going on, where everything is, or how things work, and it kind of takes you out of the game. So if they had something kind of like a happy medium between Morrowind and Skyrim, which, you know, Oblivion kind of was that happy medium. The quest markers did show you kind of where to go, but it was still fairly vague. And, you know, that was a good thing about it. You did a lot of weird shit in the game. Like the one mission where you had to, it was a mage's guild, dive into a well in Oblivion and pick up a ring that just over encumbered you. And I remember my first time doing that, I actually ended up dying because I couldn't figure out why I was not able to move. But eventually I figured it out. I managed to get the ring and bring it back to the guy, and I think he got mad at me for it. Like, how did you come back with this ring? You're not supposed to be able to move when carrying that. But that was, you know, you had to pay attention to your surroundings to find the ring. Like, I don't think it was even on a body. I think it was just floating in the water at the time when I played. Maybe. Oh man, it's hard to remember stuff. Too many games, man. I play too many games. But I love them. I love this hobby. And I want to share it with people. That's why I'm doing this. Get the fun stories, get the interesting depths of story of these games if they're done well. I mean, like with Call of Duty, people rave about the stories in Call of Duty and how good they are. Not my thing, and I honestly feel the stories are not that great. But the fact that you can do that and have these stories that make people really pumped to play things like that, it's great. It's better than any movie because you're able to engross yourself into a game more. Yeah, it's hard to do that in movies. And like with other things, like in games you can have an artistic style that is coherent throughout the entire thing. You're not having to deal with real world problems of CGI, budgeting, and location. Like, wow, I can't even think of any, like, movies as an example. Yeah, I guess the prequels of Star Wars would be a good example of that. You're doing mostly everything in green screens, and you have the different clothing and everything. It all kind of meshes together, but at the same time, none of it really goes well together. And it's not pulling you in as much. Not like the original trilogy, where everything was kind of done in the real world and none of it was green screened. A lot of it felt more grounded and coherent, because it was. It had to be coherent because it was made into a real place. Not like in the prequels where a lot of it is CGI and the art stylings of like different planets just don't mash at all. And that's probably just from my design background of going to college for being a graphic communications specialist. Because you gotta have the coherent art style throughout whatever you do. And if you don't, shit gets weird. I love looking at different logos and things and trying to think of like how to better approach things. I mean, I've had friends come to me asking me to help design logos for certain things. And I've helped them out. I've given some tips on things. Somebody had made their store after the paper jacket that you would find on hardback books, the little paper cover that goes around it. But the original logo was like a jacket, and it was just really misleading off the point. I asked him, like, are you guys selling clothing? Like, no, we do books. So why the hell do you have a jacket as your logo? I was like, oh, paper jacket. It's like, no, here, let me redesign that for you. Go with this. This makes more sense. It's like a book in a suit. Yeah, man, my fucking career choice that I went into originally was because of video games, specifically Final Fantasy. Looking at the beautiful character art in all of the Final Fantasy games, I really, really wanted to do that. I wanted to make that kind of character art. And I started doodling a lot, doing my own kind of art, trying to define my style and what I'd like to do. Throughout high school, I carried a sketchbook with me everywhere, and all the time just kept drawing. And figured out, I'd go into graphic communications, and that would be a good step forward into being a concept artist. And that's what I wanted to try and get into. I would go into graphic communications, I would learn the trade, and I would go forward into being a design specialist. Little did I know that that would be the downfall of my drawing habit. About a year into going into college for graphic communications, I stopped drawing. We were doing emulations of what it would be like in the real world, how to run everything, like doing design for websites, and then the teacher would be the client, and we would come up with these, good designs and everything like that. And because he wanted it to feel like the real world, he would give us asinine, horrible things to do to our creations. You come up with a great color palette, you present it to the person, they sign off on it, you design it, you go through everything, you get it built, all that. You bring it back for approval. They say, no, let's change this color to be something fucking awful and clash. And you try to fight them with that, and then you get angry, And then you sit there and you have to destroy your work by making it look awful. And it was so soul-crushing, I just stopped. I had to stop. It hurt too much to do. And from there, I kind of more or less stopped drawing. I stopped everything to do with that. Which is a shame. I thought I was actually starting to get pretty good and everything. I do occasionally do a little doodle now and again. My avatar was not made by me, it was made by my good friend Spark. They are amazing. And yeah, I just kind of lost all drive for that, but shortly after that I had the opportunity to join the family business, which is just making prosthetics and orthotics, and it feels really good. I do kind of get my artistic juices flowing because a lot of the work that I do is basically shaping of materials. It's working with plaster and various materials to kind of make elegant designs and things like that. It's really feels really good and scratches that itch of creativity that I need. And I love that work after basically changing a guy's life, which, man, that is something. If you can do something for somebody that makes them like hug you crying, you're gonna want to do that forever. We have a gentleman who, you know, was been wheelchair bound for years, unable to move. His foot was looking mangled. It was constantly infected. He was terrified of getting his leg cut off, but he couldn't live like this. He could barely get around his house. He could barely do anything. He was just wheelchair bound and depressed. We finally managed, you know, I don't know if we managed to talk him into the idea of finally getting an amputation, or if it became out of his control and he needed to have an amputation. But eventually he got one, and we made a leg for him. And in 4 days after giving him the leg, he walks back into our store, biggest smile on his face, and just coming to thank us all. That how much it's changed his life, how much he's happier now, how he feels so much better being able to move around, be independent, do things he wants to do. And just thank each and every one of us, and it was an amazing feeling just to have that. You know? If you have the option to do something for anybody, do it. As long as it doesn't put you out of anything, and you can help someone, hey, do it. The best feeling in the world. Now, if anybody has any questions about, you know, what prosthetics and things are like, or how to build things, general questions and curiosities, feel free to ask. I love my job now, and I would be happy to talk about it to anyone. Going through, take a lot of continued education and constantly learning new things, different studies, keep up to date on different technologies. I'm really excited for some of the new stuff that's coming out, and probably won't see any time within 50 years or so, but as soon as it becomes more mainstream, it's going to be amazing. One of the big things that are coming out now is osseointegration. And basically what that means is in-bone attachments. So if you have, it's most commonly done with anybody that's amputated above the elbow. Like they've lost an arm and they need a good attachment point. They will kind of bore into the humerus a little bit and then input a specialized pylon with a lattice system that will cohere with the bone, and flesh will grow around and make a sealed contact with, which is amazing. For a long time we thought that wasn't going to be possible. Most of the time with specific flesh and metal don't mix together, and it's was almost impossible to get a good heal around it because it would constantly be an irritation in the body. It doesn't like metal. It doesn't want metal in it. So like if you have ever gotten splinters from from metal shavings or anything like that, they embed into your skin, they travel a little bit, and they pop out, usually. And so, you know, the body doesn't like foreign objects like that inside of it, but through this integrated system that they put into the metal pylon, the body doesn't want to reject it as much. And creates a very solid point to where you don't need to have a protective socket around basically a wounded limb. The flesh heals around it and it becomes a limb again. Now, it's not perfect yet, but it's gone through trials. Actually met one of the first people to get an osseointegration. And that was really cool to get a chance to look at and ask him a bunch of questions. Like, one of my main things was, if you hit it, does it hurt? Instead of saying any sort of answer, he starts bashing it on the table we were at, and it was horrifying to see. And he says, no, doesn't hurt. And I'm sitting there shitting myself like, oh my god, this man's insane. Because a lot of times with foreign objects, like, if somebody were to get pins in their fingers or something like that, having that metal rod sticking out past the skin, just fucking looking at it hurts like hell. So having that ability to just slam on a table with a exposed rod out of your flesh and not feel a thing, that's amazing. And that's going to take away the need to have a cumbersome socket that has been custom made to you out of the question. And so you have that protected flesh around your body that isn't going to have the wear and tear that it normally would, being inside of a liner that is basically more or less designed to protect the leg or limb, as it were. I would love to get to see more of that technology going on, but I don't see it progressing anywhere anytime in the public use domain for probably another 50 years or so. It still needs to be perfected and then somehow worked into the common use, which is gonna, unfortunately, kill a lot of jobs like mine, but it would be so much better for patients. And then they're coming up with more microbiotics, or microbionics. Yeah, bionic. So we're getting more advanced hands that are coming out, and they're even going to have like tactile sense to them. Some of the really interesting things that they've done was the mapping of neurons or electrical pulses through the nervous system of the spine that would control arm muscles and hooking them up into a arm device. And they've gotten that to be a lot smaller now, because before, I believe they returned the ability to walk to a gentleman that has been wheelchair bound for a while by using a walker and being able to have pulses sent through the walker to his limbs that allowed him to walk again. They've advanced that even further now, where they're actually having certain ways to map out those same things out to an arm, which is more complicated and harder because you have all those different mechanisms in the hands, more rotation, just a lot more things to worry about. And they're starting to work on that to be more of a standard system. I believe they've also come up with new healing methods where if, let's say, if you snapped your back in half and you lost the use of your lower body, I believe they've come up with certain techniques to try and bypass the break and restore function to your lower limbs. Like, if you have a break in your vertebrae, they could bridge around that break to where it would start functioning again because of how they're learning about the body. And we're making great strides because we've only really been doing this shit, God, maybe like 100 years? If that? Is when we really started going to town on learning the body further and further. No, okay, no, we've been studying the body for a long time, and there's a lot of different things, but only within the last 100 years are we starting to get down into the more nitty-gritty of the body and how specific things function. Like, I believe one of the latest things that we discovered was a new tendon inside the knee that is more common to break than an ACL tear, but it always gets accused of being an ACL tear, but it's a different tendon that we have now discovered. And because of that, we now know how to treat it better. I don't remember what the name of this tendon is, but it's said to be like most commonly diagnosed as a ACL tear, but it's in such a position that it would probably be the area that is damaged the most. So it's not an ACL tear, it's whatever this tendon is, and we can do different things to kind of alleviate that. No, I think it is still whatever we do for an ACL tear. Yeah, I'm just rambling about bullshit. I'm sorry. I think I could probably move on to the next things to kill. We'll sell things, and then we'll move on to the undead. See how well we do with that. Just taking another drink there. Sorry. A lot easier to talk when I'm not having to do ridiculous voices all the time and destroying my throat. Too bad that's going to change when I get back into RPGs again. So yeah, next game is going to be Yeast. I have the Oath of Gaha. Whatever. The Yeast game. And then, we'll see from there. Oh, Wednesdays should be Guild Wars 2. We're gonna try and do that with Jin, Lope, and Tiggy. Continuing through that, we may do some PvP, we may not, we'll see. And Fridays are gonna be Final Fantasy 11. With Jin and Lope. Try to get Tiggy into that one, but he doesn't like it. But I can understand, but it is a good chill game, much like this. Oh. I have thought about doing something like a Minecraft mod pack. If anybody would like to see that, if not, I'll probably just be doing that on my free time. Been watching Zine X33N, how you spell his name. He's also on Twitch and does YouTube stuff, mostly Minecraft. He's really fun to watch. I would suggest go watching him at some point. But I do a lot of mod packs and stuff like that, and that's kind of giving me the itch to do it. I like that logistics of extreme machines and how to do certain things like that. I think one of the last ones I watched him do was something called Ragnamon. And that's got a lot of bullshit in it, and I like it. Nuclear energy, bees that give you every type of resource. You get to go to the Sonic verse. Say hi to Sonic and Knuckles in them. A lot of weird shit. I'm absolutely down for that. We're gonna try Blood Maw after this one. See how we do. Actually, we can try to get to 16, then take on Blood Maw. How's my weight doing? Not too bad. Getting a lot of skill ups, that's good. Yeah, I have double tech now. That's doing good. Double tech is at 30. I also thought about bringing a caster along as a mercenary instead of a healer, just to have that nuking ability. I don't know how well that would work, but it would be worth a shot. Right now, just having the healer is a big boon for me. Kinda go ham at things and destroy them and get some skill ups. Yeah, we're taking on Blood Maw pretty easily now. This may put us up to 16. Oh yeah, that'll give us 16. If anybody knows where I should go after Crescent Reach, please let me know. I know absolutely nothing about this game, and I'm gonna try and learn. I know a lot of it is just, you know, go to Plains of Power, walk over to one of the obelisks, and go to location it says to go, but I would like to explore a bit more and figure out where things are more organically. Get a grasp of scope and whatnot. Get a little bit more of an idea of what zones are connected to what, instead of just, you know, portal, 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 here I am. And you know what? If anybody is playing Everquest as well and is around the same level, wants to come join, help out level or anything like that, you know, you are welcome to do so. Excellent. Let's go sell. Still on the way out. Go sell everything and then quest that. But I don't know how to find it. I guess I should hit the plate the power as well and check see if I have any books I need to get, but I don't think I get anything until like level 60. Oh man, yeah, parry and double attack going up real high. Slashing is capped. Need a shield to learn do bash. Oh, disarm. I should probably be doing this too. Double attack, getting up there. Gotta dual wield at some point. I gotta raise my kick up and parry is almost max. Nice. Pose. Not great. I'm gonna move straight there and put disarm up on the chart a bit. Because I need to get that up. Probably the best way to reduce damage done, well, one of the best ways is disarm, get the weapon out of their hands so they do less damage. I think the best is still slow. You can correct me on that one if you'd like. You can auto-skill stuff, right? Yeah. I wonder if I can do that yet. Should also raise up my swimming at some point. That'll be handy. Actually, wait, does swimming increase my swim speed? I want to say it does, but it's very minimal. That man was riding a spider. He should be feared. For any men that can command the evilest beings in the world, spiders should be feared. Nah, kid. I do not have a gripe about spiders, then I don't want them around my pet, especially if they're extremely venomous. main fears that I have, especially when I moved into this house, is that, well, when I moved into this house, this place was covered and full of black widows. We had one that was outside next to a swamp cooler, and it had this massive fucking this endurance. Yeah, we'll get rid of it. Not worth holding on to. But it had this massive web right, like, inside of a swamp cooler that I wanted to cool off my house with. And it was about the size, if not bigger than a silver dollar. And so, you know, we came up with the smart idea of, we'll buy some raids specifically designed to kill black widows. And we will hit that thing up with it and get rid of it. Destroy its nest. 3 days we did that. We hosed down the area with poison, destroyed the nest, hose it again with the poison. Think it's dead and we can not worry about it, and the next morning it was back, bigger, and the Black Widow was angrier. But after 3 days of destroying an increasingly large web that probably ended up being about 4 feet wide at one point, we managed to kill it and get rid of it. Which, I mean, looking back on it now, I feel bad about, because that thing probably kept the house pretty clean, but I also didn't want it laying eggs inside the swamp cooler, turning it on one day and flooding my house with a bunch of baby black widows. Especially if, you know, one of them might bite my cat. My cat is small enough that it would probably kill it. Weird things to worry about, I know, but you know what? I worry about it because I love my cat. Lately, have all that taken under control. Don't have to worry about any of that. And, yeah. Everybody's happy now. Still get weird shit in my house. Actually, one day, I crawl into bed, put my head down onto my pillow, and, you know, put my arm around my pillow to just kind of support myself a little bit. My hand rests on something that wiggles inside of my pillowcase. Rightfully concerned as I was, I got up, dumped out the pillowcase, and there was like a 9-inch long skink screaming at me. Somehow it had managed to get into my house, don't know from where, get past my cat, which I'm surprised it did, climb up into my bed, and then find a nice comfy spot inside my pillowcase, and went to sleep. I spent the next hour trying to get it out of my house without hurting it or anything. A lot of hissing and almost biting me. I didn't have anything to put it in to get it outside. It was a giant fiasco. But eventually got it outside, went to bed, and subconsciously removed my pillowcase every night for a couple months. I don't know why it bugged me that much, but, you know, that's what happens. And another time, middle of the night, my cat is screaming at me from my bedroom door. Didn't know what was going on. Kept telling her that everything's fine, you don't have to worry about it, come on, get back into bed and go to sleep. Eventually I get up, turn the lights, and look down. She's sitting on top of something that's wiggling. And is very happy to show me what she has. I look at it, and I'm like, oh, that's a worm. Well, okay, I'll throw that outside. Get a little glove on, go pick it up, and I realize, oh no, that's a snake. She had found a worm snake that had gotten into the house somehow, somewhere. I don't know how or where. But a worm snake had gotten into my house. She found it and brought it to show it to me. Glad I was wearing that glove because it started to musk everywhere to get away. Took that outside and let it back out into the wild. Don't know where that worm snake came from, but it's gone now. Always entertaining around here, you know? And oh my god, my cat was not happy when I did that. I did not get any cuddles after that for throwing away her prize. I was a bad person to her. Oh man, maybe I can go further than these guys. Oh, he's rooted me, that's why I can't move. I hope I don't get into that sweet spot where they keep me rooted far away from them just enough where I can't auto-attack them, but they can still beat the crap out of me. He was kicking my butt. You. I will fight you. Take all of your gold. Slash auto skill. Should tell me what skills I can auto skill, right? Dash or kick, alright. Let's auto skill kick. Excellent. I just need to auto skill disarm. Where's one of those drinking birds? I can just have it press it all the time. I also gotta remember to keep my taunt up, because that's gonna be very important later on. So hopefully with this, what I'm planning to do is, you know, I will probably do a little bit of this off the stream, just to kind of get through the game a little bit more, and, you know, take my time. One of the things I definitely love doing is just throwing on a movie or something, or, you know, other streams of people, and just kind of zone out playing, kind of like how I did today with just rambling like an idiot. Very a relaxing thing for me to do. But after, I do want to, you know, if anybody wants to join in for anything like that, feel free to join my community Discord, link down at the bottom, and you know, come hang out. If you guys want to run anything or want to do stuff, let me know. I am down. Yeah. I may have done a bad. This is gonna be a hard fight. Always check before you attack. But yeah, I have a community Discord for anybody that's interested in just chatting. If you guys want to learn anything or ask me any questions, go ahead. If you guys want to get in and play some games, let me know. Like I said, I play a lot of different games, I have a lot of different tastes and things, and I'd be happy to join anybody that is interested in doing so. Yeah, this feels a lot better than being a shaman. Shaman was fun. I do like having the dots and everything like that, but nothing for me beats being a warrior and just smacking things around, laughing at them as they try and hit you. I mean, he's hitting the shit out of me and beating the crap out of me like a rag doll, but you know what? I have a healer, so... And I know Shaman can do this a lot better, but Shaman would also have to sit down pretty hard after this until they get cannibalized, and then I would have a healer just being a mana battery for me. But in that same breath, I don't want to be a healer. I can do healing in Final Fantasy XIV. My main healer in 14 is White Mage, because I like reactionary healing, but it's just not for me. Although, you know, Everquest 2, I have a max level Defiler, just being a dot monster, which is fun for me, but I usually end up having to be the secondary healer in most groups. Which isn't bad, as long as I'm not being relied on to keep the tank alive. I have a lot of fun with that. Throw out shields every now and again, and then just making sure anything big we're fighting is just debuffed to hell. Sure. Go ahead and loot that. Not worth a whole lot of experience. Come back here and fight the ogres. But yeah, I'm down to make any friends from this as well. Always good to have more friends. Hang out, talk, bullshit. Tell me your stories, give me information. Hell, you can even tell me that I'm playing the game wrong and you hate me, I don't care. Nope, too far away. Worth a shot. Yeah, still really surprised about the amount of people that are here. Especially since I can't find anything to fight. It's really weird. Last time I did this, there was like nobody around. And it was kind of surprising. Well, I mean, not as surprising as, you know, a shitload of people now, but it was surprising that there were so few people here, but everybody was in the Plains of Power. Now it seems like a lot of people are here leveling up new characters, and Plains of Power seems kind of empty when I went there earlier. Still to figure out the Bazaar system and get some prismatic dyes. Get rid of my blue. I don't want to be a blue kitty. I like my nice shiny armor. Gotta keep skilling up that taunt and disarm and kick. All very good things to keep leveled up. Disarm's up to 40. Kick is 51. I don't know where my taunt is at. It's not high enough, I know that. You know, what is this hut made out of? It's just large strips of some giant animal. I mean, these really look like just flesh and staples. And that's really upsetting, you know? These are just the staples and the overlaying of flesh. If, like, this was red here, that would be really disgusting. I mean, it still is kind of disgusting being skin textured and colored. But, you know, more so. You know, maybe it was just a bunch of ogres that they skinned, and that's why there's a ton of corpses here. Yeah. We want to live in a... Well, okay, no, never mind. Teepees and leather huts are a thing, so... You know, they have fur, so it's less weird than, you know, man flesh covering the walls. Man flesh hut would be very weird and gross. Oh, I have cat aggro. You wanna come say hi? You wanna say hi to you? Come on. Come over here to the mic. Come here. You wanna say your name, Eris? You gotta say it a little bit louder. Come here. Nope, you don't wanna say anything. Too shy. He just wants to bite my hand. This guy is beating the shit out of me. Wow. Constantly frostbolting me. Okay, taunt is 68. It's almost maxed. And now I'm rooted. Alright, well, my cat seems to demand a lot of attention right now, so I think I'm going to call this here for now. I may or may not continue this off stream. Maybe continue a little bit to get more interesting locations, a little bit higher level, and, you know, see what things happen from there. But thank you for those that were here today and joined out, lurking and relaxing. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you were on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed it as well. Please let me know if this is kind of stuff you guys are interested to. Hit the like button or subscribe, whatever you want to do. I didn't think I would ever have to really say that in my life, but you know what? I can subscribe. I don't care anymore. Love you guys. Hopefully hear from you sometime soon. Like I said, Discord link down at the bottom if you want to come hang out. And see you next time. Bye.